Okay, hey, I'm having so much fun out here today that I decided I'd jump back on. I was in here earlier turning on the piece, guys and gang. Um, and it's time to pour the resin. That's why I said resin up. I got my crack filled. If you watched the other video before or not, I had talked about how I was going to fill the big crack in this guy. And which camera? Oh, I'm on the wrong camera. Hang on a second. Who's driving this show anyway? It must be getting late in the day. Um, I was talking about the filling the crack. And so I ran down to the hardware store and got some fresh cups and all. And I got good old great stuff, window foam, insulation, expanding foam. And that's what I use to fill the crack here. And I got to remember which one to switch here. So I filled the crack, I let the foam set up, I cut it back away. So now it's time to fill this whole thing with the resin. All right? And since I'm just having so much fun and I wanted to share it, I went ahead and turned the cameras back on and hit the live stream again. Hey, Corey, I saw you come in just as I was leaving last time, but now you're right on time because I was just making a big mess with chips before. Now I'm going to mix up a bunch of resin. It is too hot. It's not too hot. The temperature's fine. The humidity stinks. But the epoxy, that's one of the beauties of working with epoxy, and that's why I use the Chromacraft epoxy, and Spirocraft carries it and all that. The humidity doesn't bother it. Oh, and also you may notice like I'm a kind of a mess. I'm really glad that I didn't have the live stream running when I was doing the foam. The first time I squeezed the trigger on the foam, well, let's just say I had a little mishap. And foam went everywhere, and I don't know if it's going to come off of this jacket or not. I am a total mess. But hey, that's what happens. That's why you wear jackets. Otherwise, I would have ruined my traditional carbide Easy Wood t-shirt. So instead, I just probably ruined a Spirocraft jacket, but it's a work coat. Anyway, I am going to mix up. I did the math on this. I did the math, and according to the volume of the cylinder in the math, I need 147 ounces of resin. But I did kind of average this out. I hope I don't need that much. I have that much available over here. I'm going to make 3 quarts to start with. All right. So I've just got 3 quarts. So I'm gonna make a 3-quart batch, and that'll be what I pour in first. And then if I need to make some more, I'll creep up on it. I didn't want to go and make a whole 147 ounces and then be pouring a whole bunch of extra stuff. So we'll see how it works. One of the things about this piece is, as you can tell, it's super porous just because of the nature of the softwood. So the wood is going to absorb quite a bit of resin into it. Now, it won't absorb it instantly, so that's going to be, I'm going to kind of be a wait and watch kind of thing. Again, I did seal all the cracks with the foam. Now, the other side looks pretty funny right now. You can see the foam stick coming out, the expanding foam. So everything is sealed, and it did exactly what I wanted. I didn't want this crack to have resin in it. So either it'll be the foam, and then I'll dig the foam out and then re-pour that later when we finish returning that. That's what the front side looks like right now. I did some more turning on it after the last video. Okay. So I decided, first I was thinking about doing black, and now I've decided to go ahead and do a red, and I can't leave anything alone. It's just me. So I'm going to do a red, resin tint red, and I'm going to put a little teeny bit of black in it, and then I'm going to add satin white pearlescent powder and iridescent red to the mix. So we're going to have a little bit of a swirly. And again, it's going to go around the sides. Who knows how I'm going to turn this thing, when it's all said and done. But that's what's going in the mix. Hey, I've even got gloves on today. After this mess, I decided I better go ahead and go with gloves. So I've got my resin down here. I'm going to shake my tints up real good to make sure everything's all set to jet. It really is, surprisingly. There was big thunderstorms, so they're still around. It's sprinkled here a little bit when I was running down to the hardware store. It's not that hot. It really isn't. But the humidity is just brutal. But like I was saying before, I was apologizing for my coat. The epoxy is not affected. I won't say totally. I mean, everything's affected a little bit. It affects the cure rates and things like that, but it doesn't cloud up. The urethanes, everybody's favorite Alumilite. I have not used Alumilite. I got nothing against it, but I work with Chromacraft, and that's all good. The urethanes have more trouble with humidity. I have worked with other urethanes. Don't get me wrong. I worked with Hapco some, and another one I can't remember what it was, but. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get started. All fresh buckets here. And this place is a total mess back in here. And I was gonna, there goes the voice. I need to clean this place up anyway. And that's why I decided that I would make a mess turning this thing before I clean up the studio for Monday. So this is the hardener component. And if I end up with a bunch of this, well then, I got 2 hours. I think I'm going to be short, but if I'm not, I've got plenty of stuff in here to, and that's probably the best way that you can see what I'm up to. Just put the stuff here and there, roundabout, and then I'll go to the overhead when I start to mix, because you'll be able to see the jar. I'm looking at the other camera shot. So I'm right at my quart mark, just a fuzz low on this. And I'm just going to go ahead and add that right into my pail. Right there. I know I shake a gallon of epoxy, but it doesn't really shake. That's just wishful thinking. Now, if I was to leave this in the bucket, it would start to heat up really quick. Even though this is a 2-hour resin, it's got a 2-hour open time. But as soon as I pour it out into here, it's going to be, most of it's going to be a 1/2 inch thick. And at the thickest part, right in the very center, it is just at 1 inch. There's 1 inch right there, and then it's an inch deep right here, which you can't quite see. And then when you get out to here, it goes up to a 1/2 inch, roughly 3/8 of an inch deep, and then it's a 1/2 inch deep back out here in this corner, in this groove that I've made. So, and you can see in there, we'll go ahead and add that one. I knew I was going to get something. I was going to get a stick to pull this out of these jars. And I'm going to just right, actually I'll just use a paintbrush. I'll use whatever's quickly at hand. Scrape out the excess, and I'm in the overhead, so let me keep my arm out of the way. We'll get all this out of here. You want your mix to be real close, but it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. There's a little bit of room, but not a lot, so you want to keep it pretty close. Okay? All right, and I'm going to go ahead and pour off another one here. And yeah, still in the overhead. I've been having fun out here today. I don't usually spend all day Saturday out here, but I've just been turning and making a mess and figuring things out for Monday, having a good time, enjoying myself, you know. Oh, come on, change my glove. It's nice to spend an extra day, another day. You know, I spend Monday about 3 hours out here. Maybe, yeah, probably 3 hours with getting ready. And then the rest of the time I'm in the office working on Spidercraft and all that good stuff. So I don't always get to spend a lot of extra fun shop time out here. And like I said earlier, earlier when I was on live, I knew that I wouldn't be able to do all this on Monday in the 2-hour slot. So I wanted to spend today. Bridget's also at work today, so it freed me up to come out here and work. And I'm okay, yeah. So it's been a good day. I've had fun. I don't have my stereo on, but I do have Amazon Music over in one of the computers, but I turned it off. I did not have it on when I was turning, especially with this big crack in this guy. I was making sure that I could hear what was going on. I'm a big advocate of not having extra sounds when you're turning. Okay. And we'll let that drain down, and I'll scrape that out one more time here in a little bit. So that one is still clean. I haven't decided if I'm going to make. I'll probably pour it off into smaller containers, just to make it pouring it in easier, and that's the hardener. So we'll keep that clear. Now I have my favorite mixer. Yes, it's only $1, but it's not fully filled up with resin yet, so I'm going to keep right on using it. And I'm going to go ahead and get a mix going, get the stir going in here before I start to add the colors. And when you're mixing your resin, you always want to make sure, yeah, you're on there, that you don't have any swirls left. You can see the swirls in that still. Now it's probably looking crazy color because of the chroma key, and this has got a little amber tint to it. So it might look a little green to you. It looks green to me, but then again, it's on a yellow countertop. I love these mixers. Like I said, I get these at the Dollar Tree. No, this I actually get at Ollie's. If you have an Ollie's, I don't know if you have an Ollie's around where you're at or not. Ollie's has a huge kitchen section, lots and lots, and these are covered in plastic. Lots of silicone stuff. I'm a big fan of the Dollar Tree and Ollie's for things for mixing and stirring. They're nice and disposable. Okay. Now, that's my first round of mix, and then we're going to add color. Now, I'm going to put a drop of black in here. Even though the pearl powders will work, they work better if there's a little bit of a tint of black. Corey, who is in here, was asking, Corey, you were asking, how much resin tint do you put in, and how do you know how much? Well, I'm going to show you the green on top of it looks gray. Yeah, I'm going to show you what one gravity drop of black does to this. So come on, gravity drop, boom. I don't know if you even saw that go in there. Now that's 3 quarts, right? Didn't do much. But if you're making a small batch, I'm going to put another drop in there. It's just for something for the pearlescent to bounce off of. It's not going to really darken it up, but it will help give a little something for the micas to bounce on. See, now on the camera that I'm seeing, the overhead camera, let me show you this. It looks already black. Now it's not. It's just a little bit darker, but it looks black, but it's not. And the color is off on this camera, the white balance. I can't get the white balance to work on that camera. Maybe it's had a hard, I know it's had a hard life on the road. Okay. Now I'm not going to make different, I'm going to put a good bit of red in this. I'm not going to make different batches of colors. I'm not that worried about having super swirls and all that stuff. I'm just going to go ahead and put the 2 different pearls in, and they will do with their own thing, and we'll still have a little bit of interest there. And I want this to be still kind of translucent or fairly translucent. And if I go back to the front camera, it looks completely different. You can see it's actually still fairly translucent. In the mix there. And always be sure and go around your sides. Okay, now the iridescent pearl powders This is iridescent red. Now, it's actually white in the jar, and that's why it needs the color to bounce off of. They're very similar, or interference colors, interference powders. I'm gonna use the real fancy mixing measuring technique here, and I'm gonna go like that with it, because I'm not gonna recreate this, so I'm not worried about trying to match it. And then this is satin white, which is actually white in there. And I have to be careful because there's a fan right over here to my right that'll blow this stuff all over the place. I love these pearl powders. They're a ton of fun. And now let me go to the overhead again. And I'll just mix it up and see what the mix looks like. If I decide if I want to add any more or not. Now this is not going in a pressure pot. Okay, I don't have a pressure pot this big, so this is going to air cool. This is more like pouring a tabletop, or that river table thing that you can't use because somebody copyrighted the term river table. So it's not going into pressure pot, but again, with the 2-hour open time on my resin, I'll watch it, and I've got my hair dryer over here, my heat gun, hair dryer, and so I can flash the bubbles. Again, it's the back side. This is really the support for the whole piece for the front side. But this thing is not inherently strong enough on its own to be able to do what I want to make a thin platter with it. So it needs the resin backing. And I'm thinking that's probably going to do the trick. And there's the overhead you see there. And I'm going to stick this down in one of my little jars. All right. I think we're going to just pour the middle, and everything slopes to the middle. So theoretically, I'm going to pour some in the middle, just boom. It's kind of like pouring concrete. You dump the first 8 yards from the truck and you see what happens. Buddy of mine and I, we built a workshop, and he calculated that we were going to need 13 or 15 yards for the entire slab. And it turns out that we needed 42 yards for the entire slab. So my shop floor isn't level, and I knew this was going to happen, so I'm going to do a little leveling on my piece before I make any more resin, okay? So I want to get this guy level so it sits flat. And yeah, I could have done it ahead of time, but I'm in the go mode today. Just having too much fun. I didn't want to be that organized. And so it looks like, for a starter, this chuck, that might be too high. The beauty is you can be able to see, you can see the wood. You can see the grain over there. So it's sitting on a faceplate. If you don't remember that, it's sitting on the faceplate. And so obviously I'm not going to need 147 ounces. I hope I didn't stick my head in the way there. And there's a fluorescent light right overhead. What kind of wood am I using, Scott? This is a piece of that sycamore that I've been hacking on for 3 years. This is an end cut, just right off of the end of it. I'm going to let this sit and soak for a couple of minutes before I mix some more. Scott, this is the end cut, just a butt cut right off the end of the log. You know, the 2 inches you throw away before you start cutting your blanks in the morning. And it was about 26 inches. And it's all spalted and soft and punky and got a big giant split in it. And I've just been wanting to use it for a long time. I've had it out in the warehouse. And so I decided I'd make a platter out of it. And so that's what this is all about. And You know, it's kind of funny when I moved it around, it seems like it kind of leveled itself up. We'll know better when I pour some more, and it doesn't have to be perfect. I just want it to be in the vicinity. So I think I'm going to attack this roughly a quart at a time now. So I will switch over to my favorite measuring method, which is yogurt cups. It actually won't be a quart. These are it'll be 15 ounces at a time, half a quart. And I can mix these really quick. And then that way I'll sneak up on it. And I think that's what I'll do. I'll keep the batches small. And we'll go from there, just so we sneak up on this. And like I said, I'm pretty sure that this is soaking in. I know it's soaking into the wood as I'm going. So, like I said, instead of getting way ahead of the curve here, I'm just going to make these smaller batches now until I fill it up to the top and watch it slowly soak in, and then I'll just keep topping it off. All right. And I didn't test this, so we'll find out. I'm testing it right now. We'll see if the window foam, the window seal or the expanding foam, it shouldn't be having any kind of a funny reaction to the epoxy. I'll be in a world of trouble if it is. All right. And we'll just pour all this in our big jug here in a minute again. And we'll keep right on going. Now the front on Monday is going to be fun on this thing. Because it is so soft and punky. I mean, turning it's a nightmare. You know, it's end grain. It's just, like I say, a lop right off the end. But still, I wanted to use it. I know that some people say that life is too short to turn crappy wood, but if you turn crappy wood into something good, well then, hey, it's all good. And this is the end of this gallon. Just about there. So it looks like I'm a little high. The left-hand side, I can see more wood. So we'll pour this in here. We'll mix this batch up. So we can say goodbye to that gallon jug and that one. And we'll mix another batch right here. And just loosely the same. Same mix, same quantity, same all that good stuff. There's my paintbrush. Hope everybody's enjoying their Saturday. Like I say, I actually really am. I'm taping NASCAR so I can watch it when I go in. I've been having fun out here. Been out here all day. It's a pleasure. It's a long way from when I used to turn and sell in the art and craft shows. I would turn, you know, all day long, every day, all week, and then sell on the weekends, travel and sell, set up, take down, sell, come back, make more. I miss that a little bit. I miss parts of it. I don't miss all of it. I don't miss the having to turn like a madman all week long and then drive somewhere and set up the pony show. I miss the interaction with the people, though. But I get that at the woodworking shows. And the woodworking show is working on a new website. As a matter of fact, I got an email from them yesterday. They wanted a new bio and pictures, stuff like that. So as far as I know, haven't talked to them since we came off the road. They still have are planning to, try and get us together for 2021 and get us back out there again for the woodworking shows. I sure hope so. Yeah, Scott, this will be fun to turn on Monday. I'll let it sit and cure tomorrow and just let it do its thing. So just one little drop of black in here. And maybe a couple drops of red. And I'm not really worried about the back side, what really happens to it. If it's got swirl, doesn't have swirl. Keep the breeze off of this. Don't need quite so much because that was a whole bunch that went into the quart mix. I do love the kind of the pinkish color. It looks kind of cool. And the front side is so full of spalting, it'll be interesting to see. I'm going to fill, there's a number of cracks, the big crack, and then there's a couple small ones, and I'm going to fill those. I'll switch back over to the overhead here for you. I'll fill those with resin after I've turned it. Now, and I don't know what kind of finish I'm going to get. I mean, being old, crusty, nasty, soft end grain, it's not turning cleanly. Although I was playing with a couple of angles and the tools before I turned it around even, and I was getting pretty good results. I was pretty happy with the results I was starting to get. As far as getting a clean cut, I don't expect, because it's so soft, I mean, there's some places you can just dig it out with your finger. Because this was never sealed or anything. It was just cut off and left. And give this one more good swirl burl. The other thing that's going to be interesting is, and I have no way of knowing how to predict it, is how much, if it's going to soak into the wood more in some places than others, and things like that. I'm looking at the outer. You can see the dark ring all the way around, and that's the 1/2 inch deep ring on the outside to make the outer band that rolls around the piece. But you can see the wood grain in this band here, so it's actually fairly even looking. So I'm just going to pour this right in the middle again. I'll kind of swirl it around so it is a little different. And let it push all the resin out to flow. And because this has such a long open time, it's going to do whatever it wants to do. It won't hold this pattern, I guarantee you. I know that to be a fact. So I think probably one more batch of that size is going to do the trick. And that will pretty much, I think, fill us right up to the top. What do you think, guys? Scott, you need some new tools. I'm your guy. What you need? Jump on the new site. If you've been to the new site, taking a look at it yet? Well, it's not actually new. The new one is still in the works. I cleaned up the old one. Made it a little bit easier to navigate and get around and all that good stuff. Okay, let's mix up another batch of resin here. One more of this should pretty well take it to where I think it needs to be. I do believe. Now, I've got a lot of ideas. This process, and I'll talk about this a lot more on Monday, this process, because we're using the wood as the mold, one of the problems as a caster that you have, say you want to use glitters or inlay spin gems and pearls, mother of pearl and all that, well, it all sinks to the bottom, right? Its specific gravity is heavier than that of resin. So it always sinks to the bottom and we never get to see it. Well, think about what we're doing here. And like I said, I'm going to talk about this a lot on Monday. It could sink to the bottom, which is actually the top. Because when this guy gets turned around and we turn the face away and we get into it, with the wood as a mold, and if we cut deeper areas, I thought about how I could route and carve and, grooves, etc. in here, so that when I turn that face, it would expose the resin that was cut into the deeper recesses that I had made. I could put an emblem in the middle, so that when I turned the wood away, the center would have an emblem, let's say, in resin. And you could have all those features that normally sink to the bottom, and they would sink right to the bottom, but they would be on the top when you actually turn it. So that's why I do these kind of projects. I don't worry, especially with these, almost half of what I do is experimental, just to play with new ideas. Someday I'll actually have time to put them into fruition for a piece that is really, I got a plan for. But I like trying these new ideas to see how they work, because I want, the folks who watch Monday Methods or catch me, occasionally when I actually do this on a Saturday, to take these ideas and run with them. I mean, that's what I'm all about, is trying to help people find new ways to do things. I don't have time right now to actually finish all this stuff. I just have fun playing with new things, and then you guys take it and run with it, and make it what you will. Okay. One day, I'll be able to get back to finishing stuff. I got tons of stuff all around now. I got boxes and boxes, and I got it stacked up all around in here and in the other building. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Take it out and sell it as half finished again. You know, I like getting it to that certain point, and that's fine for me. That way I don't have to sand anything, you know. All I got to do is have fun getting it there, just short of the sanding. I've had people, you know, actually would buy stuff when I was on the road. I would take it back out, unfinished pieces that I had turned. I'd just take them out unfinished. I had 400 something pieces stacked up after a couple of years of the shows, and turning all the demos and bringing them home. And so I just started taking them back out on the road and putting them on a table and saying, you know, clearance and stuff like that, and selling them for whatever I could get. And to get rid of the stuff that was stacked up in the shops and in the warehouses and the storage and all. I may have to start doing that again. Dwayne Kaddish, how you doing, buddy? What's going on out in Idaho? No, you're not in Idaho. The family is. Hope the fam is well. Is well. I forget where you. I saw you in Kansas, didn't I? I can't remember. I see people all over the place, it seems like. A little bit of red. One drop of black. Where we were on the front camera still. We go back over here. Get that where you can see it. My one drop of black for bounce color. Art Miller, what you doing, buddy? I'm out here goofing around on a Saturday. I'm getting ready for Monday. I want to be ready for all the questions you have on Art on this new project. But Art, I knew I couldn't get all this done on Monday, so I've been out here working all day to get this ready, and I've been having a ball. And as soon as I get this poured, I'm going in the house and watch NASCAR and relax. Give her a good stir, mix this up real well. So you are in Idaho, Dwayne. Okay. I couldn't remember if you were or not. I'm looking at what I see is kind of funny. Seeing the swirls in the front camera, you know, shooting across. It's got kind of an interesting little look to it. It'll be interesting to see if the back looks better than the front when this is all said and done. I'll have to turn it around and hang it backwards, you know. If nobody knew that the front was the front and the back was the back, if you didn't tell them the difference, you know, how would they know? It's kind of like nobody knows how big your piece of wood was when you started. You know, when you finish piece, they just know how big it is when you finish it. They don't know what you started with. So, Art, you've been chipping and shredding because of the trees from the storm. Are you keeping any wood from all that? Did you get anything? You know, hope you didn't get any damage, Art. Anything hit your house or anything? My neighbor here, we've got this, I don't know, however many 100-year-old oak tree here. The base is 8 feet, an easy 8 feet. It's got a 150-foot crown to it. And there was the limb came off of it it's right on the property line. We own half and the neighbor owns half. And a limb came off and took out her power line, ripped her power service side of her house, ripped down the mast, the whole bit. So she's had the tree folks in cutting a bunch of limbs here recently. But we didn't get anything but a few drips from the hurricane. All right. Another swirl around. Let's see if this fills this up. I'll go back to the overhead. Yeah, let's go back to the overhead. And we'll let that flow out. Again, the back is not intended to be seen, and I know that by the time this sets up, these colors are going to blend together. Not that I care what it really looks like. So I am up real close to my edge. I probably could pull off one more just for good measure. I want to keep letting that soak. Like I say, I've got a 2-hour open time, so now if you weren't here early on, I was talking about if I had left this resin, the first pour was 3 quarts that I mixed. That would be kicking and getting hot, pretty quick, much faster than the 2-hour open time. But now it's spread back out here, and and it's a ½ an inch thick for most of it. It's an inch thick right in the very middle, so it's not super thick. So it will sit there for the full 2 hours before it even starts to gel at all. And I'm watching this soak. You know what? Just for fun, just because I can. Again, because I'm not worried about what the back actually looks like. Let's just take our... Yeah, this looks better anyway. Let's do this. We'll swirl this up. It may not stay this way. There you go. So now you can see. So we'll give it a swirly. That way when you turn the back around, it might look more interesting if it actually stays. See, it's pretty deep in the middle there. There we go. See if we can pull some of the swirl out to the edge. Kind of like mud pies on a rainy day. Expensive mud pie. You know what I might do is I might take the brush. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my paintbrush. I'll come in here with my paintbrush and pull some of this mica powder over into the groove. There we go. There's a plan, Brad. Now we're getting somewhere. Yeah, that looks good. What do you think, gang? Huh? I could make another one more little batch. I don't see any major leaks. I got a little weep down here, but that's not bad. I filled all the cracks with the foam, so that shouldn't be too big a deal. I think I'm going to make... What is the wood, Frank? This wood is sycamore from my 6,300 pounds of sycamore that I've been working with. And what you're looking at, Frank, is the back. So this is the backer, this piece of sycamore. It's got a big, huge split in it, and it's all soft and punky, and it's end grain. It's a slab slice right off the end of the log. So it doesn't have any structural integrity. Think of it as a spindle that's only 2 inches long, but it's 21 inches in diameter now. So it doesn't have any structural integrity. So I'm filling I turned the back to make the back of the piece where I could fill it with the resin, and that's the structural integrity for the face of this platter that we're going to turn on Monday, here on Monday Methods. So I think I'm going to make one more little round, and I'm going to call that good. I think that'll be enough to keep me happy. It'll be full enough for what I'm doing. It's doing what I want. So I think life is good. Move this out of the way. So one more quick batch here. And we'll see how that goes. Yeah, it's looking pretty cool. It's like I say, it's too bad that unless the back, like I said, unless the back turns out to be the best looking part. So this is not going to have a tenon. It's going to have a recess for the back. It's still on its faceplate on the front. Now, I don't know how, it should be pretty close to true. We'll find out on Monday. This wood on the outer edge is going to get turned away. This wood band is the mold right now. That wood I plan to turn that away. So you'll be seeing the outer edge of this. There is a bit of method to the madness here. Sometimes that's hard to believe with me, I know. But I do actually have a plan. Sometimes my plans are a little scattered. But I'm okay with that. It's because I'm having fun, which is what we're supposed to be doing. Right? If we're not having fun, what's the point? So we'll fill this one over here first. And I guess my calculations, now that I'm onto this, we're probably pretty close to that 147 ounces that the calculator said I would need to fill this back, which kind of surprises me. Derek! What as I said to you? Grasshopper. How are you doing, Grasshopper? Are you seeing any hope here yet? Any possibility? Rain coming out of the bottom? No. There's a little seep, just a little seep over there, but it's not raining. All right. In we go. We're having fun. Derek, didn't you have an issue with the chainsaw? You doing okay? I mean, on a serious note, you all right? I saw that you kind of got cut up. Sale? Who sells any of this stuff? Oh, it'd easily cover the sale price. It's $1,000 piece, Derek. What you talking about wouldn't cover the sale price? Obviously, you and I just have a difference of opinion. That's all good. You do it your way and I'll do it mine. But I hope you're okay from your chainsaw incident, seriously. Don't want you all beat up, out of commission. Yeah, chainsaws are dangerous, guys. I have been lucky to date with the chainsaws, so I'm not going to complain on that one. My brother had a little incident with a chainsaw one time, but I've managed. He was clearing like 60 acres around his place in Colorado. 2 drops of red, 3. 1 drop of black. Yeah, there is what you talked about. This it's just kind of a seep. It's just kind of seeping down through there, and I'll stick a little piece of tape over. It's just a little slice, somewhere it's seeping through my foam. Do. I wish it would rain. It's been so dry down here in South Georgia, guys. I know some people, y'all been getting too much rain. Everything we've got here is burnt up, except for the flowers that I go out and water daily. Don't water the grass. Can't justify watering the grass around here. So all these batches have come real close to looking the same. In my usual just kind of wing it and go method. I'll go back to the overhead for you there. If I did the first batch was I don't know what I did, how many drops, 2 drops of black and about 5 drops of red probably, and then since then I've done 1 drop of black and 2 drops of red, and then a little bit of the satin white pearl powder and the iridescent red pearl powder. So I see now that I'm starting, I don't know if you can see the bubbles are finally now starting to come to the surface. So, in the course of the next 2 hours, they will do their thing. and I'll hit them with the heat gun, and we'll call it good. You can also see how that pearl is starting to do its own pattern there. All right, last batch, and then we'll swirl that. And this should pretty well fill us up to the brim. Yep, that's going to be just about right. Right up to the lip, or as close as I want to go. We'll let that drain off. Right there. And then we'll take our super swirl stick and give it a swirl. Kind of run it around in here a little bit so that it's not one big blob in the middle there. And again, what I've probably been maybe 30 minutes since I made the first pour, and I've got the 2-hour open time to work with. So that's all good. That little white spot right there looks like a pearlescent powder that didn't dissolve right there. But I'm glad to see the bubbles coming to the top. I'm going to break that pearl powder up. And then I think I'll grab my little brush again and just kind of swirl this around with the little brush. Good old resin mud pies. Corey, I wish it would rain every day, every week. Every day of the week down here. We sure could use it. Now another thing, if I was to turn all the way to the center, if I was to turn the very center all the way through, because it's an inch deep, it's an inch thick in the middle. From the back to the front and the center of this is an inch. So theoretically, of course, my recess is going to be 3/8. If I wanted to have an effect on the front, I could still, at this point right now, I could take glitter or spin gems or mother of pearl, and I could drop it right here in the middle, and it would sink all the way to the very, very front, which would be the bottom, which would be the front when this thing's all done. So that would be cool. Had I put grooves in, I would have put things in there. So I think there's a lot of potential to try different things. This is the first time, again, that I've used the piece of wood itself as a mold for a hybrid cast and turn. So, you know, always trying something new. I'd love to experiment. I just have a ball. So we're full, and I think that's kind of all the excitement that there is on this for the day. I'll give you one more shot of it in the overhead. And I'm going to go ahead and take my gloves off because I'm done pretty much messing with this. And you can kind of give it a look there. We'll throw those away. Well, gang, I appreciate everybody who stopped by this afternoon. Like I said, it was unscheduled. Monday morning, 10 o'clock. You know the drill. If you don't, if you're new to this and you're watching this, you're not familiar. Monday methods, I'm out here 10 a.m. every Monday morning Eastern time. And I will be mounting this up on the lathe and finish turning it, figure out what the rest of the plan is. We do Monday methods every Monday, like clockwork. I think I've only missed a couple. I'm pretty good about staying consistent and finding things to do. And I have a wonderful time, and lots of people come. You know, it's great. I've been getting about 4,000 views a week on Facebook. Just watching the Monday methods, so I'm real pleased with the turnout, and you know, people watch it throughout the week. They don't catch the live thing. I get it, you know, it's 10 o'clock on a Monday. But we've had 4,000 roughly every week. Some weeks we've been 17 to 20,000 views on some of these. So it's doing really well, and I'm having a ball. So anyway, you guys enjoy the rest of your Saturday. I'm going to cut the cameras off, go in the house, get something cold, come back, check on the bubbles. I say this thing's got a couple of hours. So thanks for dropping by unannounced on a Saturday. Everybody take care, and I'll see you on Monday, 10 o'clock. Bye.